Imagine a radiology scan showing light, real, glowing light, inside a man's heart. No tumor, no artifact, no medical explanation, just pure Noor. And when Qur'an was played, that light grew stronger. A world-famous anthropologist who believed only in science witnessed this miracle with his own eyes, and it changed everything. This is the true story of Dr. Ethan Cole, the scientist who found Allah in the heart of a stranger. The radiology miracle, when science witnessed Allah's light. It all began with a photograph. A single radiology scan pinned under a white fluorescent light in the cold, silent room of St. George Medical Research Center in Chicago. The room smelled of disinfectant and aging textbooks. Dr. Ethan Cole, a renowned anthropologist who had spent his life proving that faith and myths were nothing more than ancient attempts to explain nature, stood frozen, staring at the scan like it was rewriting every belief he ever held. The scan belonged to a young man, unknown, unconscious, and brought in under strange circumstances. He had no wallet, no phone, no ID. He was found alone in the outskirts of the city, breathing but unresponsive. The radiology team thought it would be a simple case of head trauma, but the first scans sent shockwaves through the entire department. Inside his chest cavity, specifically surrounding his heart, was a concentrated burst of light. Not a mass, not an artifact, not an imaging glitch, but what looked like Noor, pure radiant energy. "What is that?" Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. A rare moment of fear from a man who had spent years digging up graves of ancient rulers without flinching. Dr. Adrian Blake, a senior radiologist and Ethan's closest colleague, shook his head. "It's impossible. Light cannot exist like this inside tissue. It doesn't even match any known spectrum." He zoomed the image closer. "It looks like a star." Ethan swallowed hard. His rational mind fought to produce an explanation. Congenital anomaly? Bioluminescence? But none of these even remotely matched the symmetry and intensity of what he was seeing. The patient lay unconscious in the ICU ward, monitored and stable, his breathing calm, too calm, like he was at peace. Ethan's life revolved around debunking spiritual myths. His best-selling books mocked religion as intellectual weakness. Faith was an excuse, he always said. But now, science stood mute in front of something neither he nor medical literature could deny. Adrian placed his hand over his mouth. "Ethan, I've been a radiologist for 15 years. I've seen tumors that glowed, gas bubbles that looked like spirits. But this is like an independent energy source. It's not reacting to anything." Ethan felt his heart pounding. Suddenly, a nurse burst into the room. "Doctors!" The patient, his heart rate just spiked. They rushed downstairs. The ICU was dim except for the green, pulsing lights of the monitors. The patient's eyes fluttered beneath closed lids like someone caught between worlds. Then it happened. He spoke, not in English, not in Spanish. A gentle whisper of rhythmic, melodic syllables filled the room. The voice was serene, beautiful. Ethan leaned closer. "Is that Arabic?" A Muslim nurse's eyes widened with tears. "He's reciting Qur'an." The patient's whisper grew clearer.
الله نور السماوات والأرض.
Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Surah An-Nur. Verse 35. Ethan froze. The word light stabbed into his mind like destiny itself was pushing him into a corner. The Noor inside his body. The verse about divine light. The impossible harmony between medicine and revelation. Adrian stepped back. He wasn't Muslim, but something deep in him shook. "Ethan, what if this is not a medical anomaly? What if it's divine?" Ethan glared at him. "Science explains everything." Adrian whispered, "Does it?" Days passed, sleepless nights spent scanning, observing, documenting. The light inside the young man grew brighter whenever Qur'an was played nearby. When everything else in the ICU was noise, the Quranic recitation was like an awakening signal. Ethan tried convincing himself there was a neurological explanation. Maybe the sound frequencies stimulate the hypothalamus, which influences. "You're lying to yourself," Adrian interrupted. The nurse approached them again with tears in her eyes. Doctors, whenever we play Qur'an, his entire nervous system stabilizes. If we stop it, his pressure fluctuates. Ethan's voice grew harsher. Correlation is not causation. But his eyes told a different story, fear mixed with curiosity. That night, Ethan stayed behind. He pulled a chair next to the unconscious boy and stared at him in silence. He leaned forward and whispered, "Who are you?" As if answering, the boy's hand twitched. His lips moved again, the same verse.
الله نور السماوات والأرض.
Ethan stepped back, breath caught in his throat. He stormed out of the room and marched straight to the prayer hall located near the hospital entrance. It was a quiet, modest space for Muslim staff. He wasn't religious, but tonight, walls were collapsing. There he found the Muslim nurse, Fatima, praying, tears flowing down her cheeks. Ethan waited silently until she finished. He asked, "What does that verse truly mean?" She wiped her tears. Allah's light reaches hearts that are lost. Sometimes, the body becomes a witness when the tongue cannot speak. Her eyes softened. "Maybe your heart has been searching too, Dr. Ethan." Her words pierced a place he didn't even know was wounded. Meanwhile, Adrian was alone upstairs staring at the Noor scan again and again. His hand trembled. He unlocked his phone and searched Qur'an light, heart miracle. Endless articles appeared, stories of guidance, spiritual healing, unexplained scientific connections. He clicked video after video. The more he watched, the more everything inside him shook loose. A message he'd buried long ago resurfaced. The death of his sister during surgery years ago. The priest had told him to accept God's plan, but no one ever explained what God's plan really meant. Yet now, Allah felt closer than breath. He lifted the scan once more and whispered to himself, "If this isn't a sign, what else could ever convince me?" The next morning, everything changed. The patient woke up. His eyes, full of peace, looked straight at Ethan, like he had known him forever. Ethan rushed closer. "Who are you? What happened to you?" The young man smiled weakly. "My name is Yusuf." His voice sounded fragile, but his words came with truth that weighed more than human logic. Yusuf explained that he was a revert Muslim. He was homeless, having been abandoned by his family for accepting Islam. One night, while praying tahajjud outside a masjid, he suddenly fainted. He remembered nothing after that. "Why is there light inside you?" Ethan finally asked. Yusuf smiled again. "It is not inside me. It is Allah's gift. When a person's heart holds the Qur'an, Allah's Noor protects it." Ethan took a step back as if hit by lightning. All his years of rejection, denial, arrogance were trembling, ready to fall. Yusuf reached for his hand. "You spent your entire life studying bones and history, searching for the origins of humanity. But the origin is the Creator himself. Ethan, Allah is real. The signs you search for are everywhere, but you must open your heart." Ethan felt water in his eyes. He didn't cry, not since childhood, but this moment cracked him open like a fragile artifact. Yusuf whispered again. "Recite with me, say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." Ethan's lips quivered. His rational mind screamed no, but his heart, for the first time, felt alive. He whispered the Shahida. It felt like a lifetime of weight was lifted from his shoulders. His heart beat calmly, beautifully, like it finally remembered its purpose. Fatima, who stood at the door, sobbed with joy. At that moment, Adrian rushed into the room, breathless. His voice cracked. "Wait, I want to say it too." He stood beside Ethan, tears falling. Together, they declared, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." The Noor on the radiology scan flickered stronger, as if celebrating. Yusuf smiled. Alhamdulillah. And for the first time in their lives, both men felt truly alive. The man who fought against religion and the man who trusted only machines found peace in the same truth, Islam. Days later, Ethan resigned from his position as chief anthropologist. He dedicated his life to researching Islamic history, not to doubt, but to prove its truth. His next book wasn't about debunking faith. It was about how Allah guided him using a miracle science could never deny. Adrian began attending masjid regularly. He learned to pray, learned Arabic, and learned tears weren't weakness, they were purity. Their lives changed forever, all because a divine light in a human heart refused to remain unseen. Science is slowly discovering what the Quran revealed 1,400 years ago. Allah puts light in the hearts he guides. Quran, Surah An-Nur, 24 Surah 35 ayat. Modern research confirms that the heart emits real measurable light called biophotons. And studies show this light becomes more stable and synchronized when exposed to Quran recitation. If this story touched your heart, share it and become the reason someone finds Allah today. Subscribe to Deen in Minute, your source for real Islamic stories, scientific miracles of the Quran, and inspiration that strengthens your iman every day. Let this video reach someone who needs a sign. May Allah guide them through you. Comment, Allah is light. If you believe His Noor changes lives. Jazakallah khair. See you in the next story.